Hey everybody, it's Paige, and today's video is going to be my review of the brand new ZENDO palette from NATASHA DENONA. This just released on the Sephora website a couple of days ago. I bought it as soon as it launched, and so far it seems that the response to the color story of this palette is extremely positive. I haven't seen any reviews on the palette yet, and I haven't taken it out of the packaging, so I've only seen pictures online, but I am so excited for this palette, particularly because I fell in love with the mini ZENDO palette that they released a few months ago. This is such an adorable palette. This is $25 and it has 5 different shades. I've actually featured this in several videos, including a favorites video. I think it's the perfect everyday like mini palette. I just think it's so cute. Love the colors, love the eye looks that I create with this. So when I heard they were making a larger version of this palette, I was so excited. So if you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. I zoomed you guys in a little bit so that you could get a closer look at the palette as I unbox it. It already has my fingerprints all over it, but just a little bit of information on the palette. This is a $65 palette, which is NATASHA DENONA's midi sized palettes. They have like 4 different sizes at different price points. I know they have the minis, which look like this. These are $25. They have another palette that is similar to this style, but it's larger, and I think those are $50. They have the midis, which are $65, and then they have the larger ones, which are like $130, and there's actually even larger ones than that. NATASHA DENONA is very expensive, but if you're a fan of their shadows, I think that the midi palettes are definitely worth it. The more expensive ones are a bit of a splurge, but this is like more reasonable of a price point. So here's what the packaging looks like. As you can see, it's very reflective. It's sort of like a bronzy color, similar to the packaging on the mini ZENDO. So let's go ahead and open her up. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Oh, I just love the colors. I feel like the response was especially good for this palette because their previous launch before this one was the Circo Loco palette, which I actually have right here, and the color story on this palette was highly critiqued, and I don't think it was taken as well. Here is what it looks like. It's extremely colorful, kind of all over the place. This is their larger palette size. This is the $130 size. I'll show you a comparison just so you guys can kind of see. Here is like the palette size difference, and then also the shadows are much smaller as well, but I actually think they have the same number of shadows. So here, I'll hold these up side by side. You can see there's the same number of shadows, but obviously the midi size is much smaller, but for half the price and getting the same amount of eyeshadows, these are just so worth it. So yes, here is a close-up of the shades. So freaking pretty. I wonder if all of the mini ZENDO palette shades are in this palette. Okay, so after taking a closer look, I realized that actually none of these shades are in the ZENDO palette, which kind of confuses me because I think in general the minis have repeated shades, but I guess not this time. That's kind of weird. Well, I love this palette so much, and I guess it's not bad that there's no repeated shades unless you don't have both. Otherwise, like, this one is amazing and I highly recommend it. But alright, I'm gonna go ahead and do swatches of all of the shades so that you guys can kind of see how they're looking. I'm excited to swatch these, and yeah. Here is the first row swatched from top to bottom. We have Mindful, Luster, Balance, Flow, and Mantra. Here is a close-up of those shades, all extremely pigmented and buttery. Here is the second row swatched from top to bottom. We have Aura, Vigor, or Vigor, I don't know how you say that word, Relief, Equilibrium, and Breathe. For some reason, this second shade, the one that I don't know how to say, did not swatch very well. It started off strong, but then it got extremely sheer, and I did kind of go over that one a couple of times, so we'll see how that one performs on the eyes if we use that shade today. If not, I'll definitely keep you guys updated in a future video or in the comments down below. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the third row. So far, these all feel amazing. I generally love NATASHA DENONA's metallic formula, like the shimmery shades. Those are my personal favorites. The mattes are really beautiful as well. However, they usually for some reason, come across a lot deeper on my skin than they look in the pan. Not all of them, but it is something that I have noticed quite consistently throughout Natasha Denona's palettes. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not sure if that's the case for everybody, but I think I have heard that from other reviews of other palettes. So here we have the third row, and from top to bottom we have Sense, Tranquil, Calm, Yama, and Zeal. I also wanted to go ahead and swatch the mini Zendo palette for you guys, just so you could kind of see the swatches of that palette. I feel like overall the Zendo palette is a lot more colorful and rich in pigment. Like the colors are more vibrant than the ones in the mini Zendo. But from top to bottom we have Stark, Bare, Stripped, Daz, and Uncovered. I also wanted to update you guys. I am trying out the Jaclyn Cosmetics Prep and Set collection again today. I paired it with different products, and so far I gotta say I am liking it a lot better than I did in my initial review. If you guys haven't seen my initial review, I will leave that linked down below. I'll also link my Circo Loco palette review in the description box in case you're interested in checking that video out. I did 2 looks. Well, actually I did 4 looks with this palette. I wasn't happy with the first 2, but you can still kind of see a glimpse of where those were going. So anyway, now I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in, and we are going to get to playing with the shadows. I'm only going to be filming 1 look today because I actually plan on filming other videos after this one, and I definitely don't want to be overly distracting in those videos with 2 different eye looks. But if you guys want to see more looks with this palette, definitely let me know in the comments, because I plan on at least doing a bunch of looks with this palette. But if you guys want to actually see me film those, I can definitely do that for you guys. Just let me know down below. Also let me know what your thoughts are on the palette. I'm very curious on your thoughts on the color story, and if you guys actually ordered the palette. I ordered mine from the Sephora website like I mentioned, and it got here yesterday. I was gonna film the video yesterday, but I was just really busy yesterday, so I figured it could wait till today. So I'm just priming my eyes with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly, and I'm using my Morphe M173, which it really needs to be cleaned, but I just like to take this and apply my eye base. Makes it really quick, easy, mess-free. So normally I would go in with my bling brushes, but they're actually all dirty. Like literally every single one is dirty at the moment. So I'm gonna be going in with my Morphe brushes today. So I'm starting with an M433, and I'm gonna go into the shade Balance, which is this matte, kind of warm, medium tone brown shade. And I'm gonna take that and just start working it through the crease very lightly. I tapped off the excess product because, like I mentioned, the matte shades tend to appear a lot deeper on my skin. So I like to take a little bit of product and slowly build up because of that fact. So I'm just taking this, going in like windshield wiper motions, circle motions, kind of building that up and smoking it out so that there's no harsh lines. I feel like the shadow is kind of coming across a lot more neutral as opposed to warm, how it looks in the pan. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to tell, but here is the shade. I feel like in the pan it looks like it has a little bit more orange and warmth to it, and on my eyes it looks more like a yellowy neutral brown shade. But anyway, now I'm going to take the shade Mindful, which is this deeper sort of brown color, and I'm just going to take that same brush and I'm going to lightly tap into Mindful. Mindful isn't a completely matte shade, it looks to be like a satin finish, but I'm just going to tap this in my outer corner to deepen things up. I like to kind of place it where I want it and then kind of go back and blend between the 2 shades. Now I'm just going to take a clean brush and buff over those 2 shades. Now I'm going to take the shade Tranquil, which is this really pretty shimmery kind of peachy color, and I'm just going to apply that with my finger. I don't know if I said that already or not, but I'm going to apply this to the majority of my lid, like the inner 2/3-ish. So far I'm not having much of an issue with fallout. I see like a teeny tiny bit, but nothing that a fluffy powder brush can't wipe away. Now I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna take a risky move and use this like mint green as like an inner corner shade, or if I should not do that. I don't know. I kind of want to try it. So I'm gonna take a pencil brush. This might be a mistake, but why not? Okay, I don't think it was a complete mistake, at least not yet. But we'll see how this looks once everything is like said and done. And then the last shade that I'm gonna go in with is, actually I think I'm gonna go, maybe into Balance, which is this matte peachy color. And I'm gonna take this along my lower lash line. I wanted to do a look that was like using plenty of shades from the palette, but also like decently wearable and easy. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I try to overcomplicate eye looks when I'm trying out a new palette because I want to use like every single shade, and then it ends up super colorful, and then I don't end up loving the way that it turns out. So I tried to like kind of reel things in a little bit while still being able to experiment with color and, you know, different textures and shades from the palette. The last thing that I'm going to do is take the highlighter that I used on my face and apply that to my brow bone. This is the Jaclyn Cosmetics highlighter in the shade Iced. For mascara, I'm going in with the Benefit They're Real Magnet Mascara. I have been absolutely loving this product, and once I apply this, I will be right back. Alright you guys, so here's the finished look. I think it turned out really cute. I love the pop of color, and of course if you don't like the pop of color, you can always just put a little bit of your highlighter that you apply to your face on your inner corner, and that would really tone things down a lot. But I think that the mint green actually complements the peachy tones really well. The mint green shade is sort of like a matte to satin shade, so it's not like shimmery, but I think it's light enough to still give that brightening effect of like an inner corner highlight. But again, you could also just tap a little bit of your highlighter on top of that to make it shimmery. Overall, I think this is a really cute palette, and I can't wait to keep trying looks with this palette. You could definitely stick to a straight up cool tones palette by using all the blues and greens over here, or you could just do a straight up warm tone palette, or you can mix and match kind of like I did today. The actual shadows themselves are amazing. I wouldn't expect anything less from NATASHA Denona. I am a huge fan of her shadows, and I feel like if you haven't tried a palette from NATASHA Denona, I definitely recommend the midi size. She has quite a few. She has the Glam palette, the Bronze palette, the Love palette, the Sunset palette, or Sunrise, one of the two, and now this one, which I really like it. I honestly expected something different. I expected something more like the mini Zendo. On the Sephora website, it says that the Zendo was inspired by the mini Zendo, so I'm guessing that means this was the predecessor, which I love this palette still, and I still think that this is a great everyday palette, especially for like something on the go, something nice and small and compact. The Zendo palette definitely has an increase in saturation, definitely more colorful, but it's also more diverse, and you can still do really simple everyday neutral eye looks, but have the option to kind of spice things up a little bit. So I actually think they're quite different, but I really like them both, so I would recommend both of these palettes. I think they're both amazing, and I do see the resemblance between the two, having like that little pop of that like sagey green color, but they're still very different, and you're not going to be wasteful by having both of these palettes, because although I can see the similarities, they are still very different, different enough to justify having both in my opinion. So I will have both of these palettes linked down below in the description box. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the color story? Do you guys want to see more looks from this palette on my channel? I would love to hear your thoughts. So anyway, I love you guys so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!